Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I am bringing you another questionnaire answering some of the various questions that you guys have given me. And I felt a little generous today, and although it took several minutes to click through so many view mores, I felt that those of you who asked me questions months ago deserve to get your questions answered. As you guys can see at the top here, I finally have over 7,000 questions, so I'd like to thank you guys for all of the interactions. I know that you guys know that it's not the easiest to answer over 7,000 questions, but I'm trying my absolute best to answer them a little bit on my time and whenever I can adjust these. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. Do you think Bulma is stronger than Chi-Chi? Oh, and fun fact, Chi-Chi also means boobs. I actually knew that Chi-Chi means boobs from the Japanese translation, and in terms of fighting, I think Chi-Chi's much stronger than, Bulma. I mean, if you're not counting in the fact that, you know, Bulma could put herself in like a technology suit or something, but, Chi-Chi's a pretty good fighter who you can argue she's one of the strongest out there. The thing is, you know, she was never really the fighter that, you know, Goku and Piccolo and the rest were. But she's pretty strong in her own right. Alright, let's see. Who's stronger? How stronger? Bills or legendary Super Saiyan Broly? I'm gonna have to go with Bills because legendary Super Saiyan God Broly, sorry. I've never seen Legendary Super Saiyan God Broly, and considering Goku would have been stronger than Broly at the point of Battle of Gods, I'm gonna have to say Bills, like, without question. Also considering Bills wasn't even using his full power against Goku anyways. And Goku needed help from his friends, got the power boost plus Super Saiyan God, and still was not even strong enough to beat Bills. I say Broly doesn't stand a chance. Alright. The reason I believe this is because of the Future Trunks to Tournament Boost Saga. Future Trunks is very humble by nature, the sort of guy to save the world but wouldn't bring it up in conversation, whereas Kid Trunks shared a bit of Vegeta's arrogance and would continuously boast. No clue what you're talking about. You probably made it referring to something, but you gotta understand something, Isaac Booker. When you post a question on here, it's completely random, and essentially that means that if you don't make a connection to what you are referring your question to, I have absolutely no idea what you're referring it to, because as far as I'm concerned, this question just came out of nowhere. So unfortunately I can't answer what you're talking about here. Can you do a video on who had the most natural fighting talent? I believe Vegeta has the most talent even though he isn't the strongest. I think this is kind of a freebie, because if we're talking about natural talent, it has to be Gohan, right? Gohan doesn't have the skills that... I think Piccolo is an awesome fighter who was very well trained. But in terms of just natural fighting talent and just, you know, having the skill, it has to be Gohan, considering, he was a kid and he was holding his own against space aliens from outer space who were trying to destroy his planet. And I think that in itself is enough to quantify Gohan for the #1 spot on this list. Alright, let's see. We're back. Wait, where was that question? I think I went up a little too much. What would Raditz look like as a Super Saiyan 1 and 2? Well, considering there's so many variations of hairstyles, I don't think this is a fair question to answer, and here's why. Goku's Super Saiyan 1 hair looks virtually completely different from his regular base form hair. But at the same time, Vegeta's Super Saiyan hair is basically the exact same as Vegeta's base form, just gold. And then you can look at Gohan too. Gohan's Super Saiyan hair looks the same as his base form, just gold. But his Super Saiyan 2 hair as a kid looks completely different. And you gotta consider that if Goten looks the same as Goku, he would have the same, and Trunks would look different. So we honestly can't say this. We honestly just don't know. It's so, hair is so random. We never know what hair would look like. But I definitely can guarantee you what Raditz's Super Saiyan 3 hair would look like. Alright, let's see. Super Saiyan is early. If Gohan decided to enter the hyperbolic time chamber alone, he would probably come out a tiny bit stronger than he was before he went in. A hardly noticeable amount. This is why I'm led to believe future Gohan achieved Super Saiyan form a lot later, because he had I think he was referring out to the two Trunks thing, but I'll just comment on this. I made a video about why wasn't Future Gohan stronger, and you're right, maybe Future Gohan took a longer time to turn into a Super Saiyan than, you know, the base form Gohan did. But I mean, at the same time, I just still think, till this very day, even though it was the very first Dragon Ball Z segment I ever did, and before that I did only Yu-Gi-Oh videos and a couple AMVs, I think that was by far the most obvious topic for me to do first, because I just still feel to this day that Future Gohan should have been strong enough to beat the androids with 13 years, especially considering what the manga said. Alright, have you met Blackenfist or Thundershot in person? That's private. I'm not going to answer that directly, but let's just say we communicate on a frequent basis. Alright, why were Goten and Trunks and Bulla born without tails and Gohan was born with a tail? My YouTube name is Jake Soto, by the way. Okay, I made a video on two things. I made a video on why didn't Goten and Trunks have tails, and I also made another video on can Pan and Bulla turn Super Saiyan, and they're all somewhat talking about the same thing. The reason why I say this, number one, you said, your point is Goten and Trunks and Bulla were born without tails. Now, the theory is that it's a recessive trait, and that's why Gohan had it. But if you really look at my video, which I'm not going to give you the details to, it's somewhat related to Akira Toriyama. So I suggest you check it out, and if I remember, I'll definitely put that video in the description for whoever you are who asked this. As a matter of fact, you're Jake Soto, even though you're listed as anonymous. Alright, let's see. Hey, I was wondering if you like Yu-Gi-Oh! I love your videos. Please keep making them, man. I find this so funny that you're asking me this question. Like, I'm gonna tell you this, guys. I don't think a lot of you realize that Dragon Ball is not something that I always made my videos on. If you go back in history and look at my playlist, you guys would know that about a good year and a half before I even made my first Dragon Ball segment, which was why wasn't Future Gohan stronger, which is still out there, which is my second most popular video till this day, I made nothing but Yu-Gi-Oh videos. I was an enormous fan of the game. I competed. I went to YCS Miami. I went to my locals all the time. I had an Apocalypse deck that could compete with the meta decks. I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh. Now, I made Yu-Gi-Oh videos a long time and my editing skills weren't even close to what they were now, but if you really want, just go back in history and see how much I love Yu-Gi-Oh videos. I made so many Yu-Gi-Oh videos that till this very day, I still have more Yu-Gi-Oh videos than Dragon Ball Z videos. Now, if you add up every single one of my Yu-Gi-Oh videos in terms of view count and put it together, it wouldn't even have about the 10th of the average Dragon Ball Z video I have. But, I mean, if we're not just talking about popularity, you should definitely check out my Yu-Gi-Oh videos and see I was an enormous fan of that game. But I wasn't the biggest fan of the show since I was a kid. Alright, let's see. If I had a dick, how much would you suck? None, because I don't suck dick, sorry. Are you a happy? No, you sure? Am I happy? I'm pretty happy. I mean, I have to deal with a lot of college work and I'm really busy, but I'm happy where my channel is, and I'm happy that I have nearly 50,000 people who are interested in watching my videos, which is out of this world insane to me. So I appreciate a lot of what you guys have done for my channel. I never expected to be where I was on YouTube today. Alright, let's see. What if Goku never trained with Gohan? Would his hidden powers help him still? I mean, to a lesser extent. I mean, you gotta consider the fact. I mean, I know it's filler, but you know, there was a scene in Dragon Ball Z, I believe. There was two scenes where Goku was trying to find Gohan in the forest, and Gohan's hidden power had him on that tree when he was falling in a waterfall. And then there was another one where Gohan's baby carriage broke and he was flying through a tree in the episode. I think it was called Memories of Gohan. If I'm wrong, guys, please correct me in the comment section, but I think there was the episode called Memories of Gohan before they fought Cell. And basically, what I'm saying about all of this is that Gohan's power would have been just radical, but I mean, it's kind of obvious that from a kid, he had so much power that his hidden power would come out in just random situations that weren't even combat related, like Piccolo throwing him into a mountain, for crying out loud. So I think it would help him to some degree, but he definitely wouldn't be the fighter that he was. Alright, let's see. Imagine a few changes in the plot of Dragon Ball Z in which Raditz never dies, gets betrayed by Vegeta and Nappa, and decides to join the Z Fighters after his battle with Goku and Piccolo. After training with Gohan and Piccolo for a year, would he have been able to make a significant difference when the Saiyans invade? Guys, I'm gonna point something out here. Number one, this topic is extremely hypothetical for me to make into a video. It's making too many assumptions and it's making too many guesses, but I'll tell you this much. Raditz wouldn't be anywhere near as strong enough to fight Vegeta and Nappa, and here's why. I understand the Z Fighters got strong in the period before, Nappa and Vegeta arrived, but here's the thing. Goku needed to die to get Kaioken. So without Goku knowing Kaioken, nobody could be beaten, because considering the fact that Goku was weaker than Vegeta until he used Kaioken, they don't stand a chance unless Goku dies and gets Kaioken in the first place. Second place, I want you to factor this in. Raditz has been training, assumably, we assume Raditz has been training his entire life, and his power level is 1200. In some sources, they list him as 1500, right? So you consider the fact that in Raditz's entire life, he got to 1200 power level through all the fights, through everything he's been through. Do you honestly think that in just 1 year, Raditz can make his power that much higher? I mean, I know he'd be training with the Z Fighters, but there's no way that if you've gone through your whole life and you're at 1200, that in 1 year you can be that much strong enough to beat Vegeta and Nappa. So I definitely don't think it would have been enough to defeat Nappa and Vegeta in that extremely hypothetical scenario. Bojack or Deborah? Explain reasoning. Okay. I feel like that's a good discussion topic for me, Thundershot, and Blackenfist to do, but I mean, just off the top of my head, considering tactics in a dog-eat-dog world with both of them both being equal, I'm gonna say Deborah wins because he can spit on him, which makes a significant difference. If I'm talking about who I think is stronger, I'm gonna have to give the edge to Bojack. Now, you might be saying Super Saiyan 2 Gohan finished him off so easily, but you gotta consider Super Saiyan 2 Gohan as a kid was way stronger than the one who was an adult. And the one who was an adult was holding his own with Deborah, plus or minus if he even was in a Super Saiyan 2 form, which we don't know. I think he was, but a lot of sources say he wasn't, and that's up for debate. It's not a serious argument, so I really honestly don't care, but considering that, I'm gonna have to go with Bojack, especially if he uses his little henchman as an advantage, but that's just not fair. Alright, how much is the Zenkai boost? How much is the Zenkai boost dies for a Saiyan? I think you mean does for a Saiyan. There's no direct answer to this. I mean, I can't give you a direct answer on how much it gives you exactly. I mean, I can tell you it multiplies their power level exponentially, considering the fact that before Vegeta's Zenkai boost on Namek, well, he had several Zenkai boosts on Namek because he had the one from Zarbon, he had the one from Raccoon, and then he had the one from Krillin. But I'm talking about the Zenkai boost right after he got beaten up by Raccoon. You consider that Vegeta was weaker than Raccoon before that Zenkai boost, and after he got it, he was strong enough to hold his own with Frieza's first form. Now, if you look at that from an exponential standpoint, before that, Vegeta was weaker than Zarbon, but then he got strong enough to kill Zarbon. So, if you compare the scale from Vegeta going to fighting Frieza in his first form as compared to Vegeta fighting Zarbon is enormous. And the scale is even bigger when you consider Vegeta, well, he didn't hold his own against Frieza's final form, but you consider he could, take some blows even though Frieza was holding back with Frieza in his final form as compared to only being able to hold his own with Frieza in his first form. That's another exponential increase due to the Zenkai boost. So I think a Zenkai boost is exponential. I don't think there's any direct answer to how much it exactly multiplies your power level. And I don't believe in multipliers anyways. I think they're BS. Alright. Base Vegito versus Buuhan. I think Vegeta held his own very well against Buuhan, but he could easily have defeated him without going Super Saiyan. Explain your reasoning. Honestly, I think Vegito was way stronger than him, and you gotta consider that, I mean, Base Vegito in the manga really didn't fight him. In the manga, it's implied that he needed to go Super Vegito to beat him, because it's one act of filler in one difference between the manga and the anime is that Vegito, when he went Super Saiyan, or they call him Super Vegirot in the manga. By the way, it's also implied that Vegito went Super Saiyan 2 against Buuhan in the manga because there was electricity around the aura. But the thing about it is, Vegito went straight into his Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2 form versus Buuhan, so the manga implies that he needed it to even fight him. Whereas the anime implies that it's not that big of a deal. But honestly, I think if we factor in both things, I think it honestly doesn't matter, because it's clear that in his Super Saiyan form, he could definitely beat him. As far as his base form, I think that if we're going by the manga, which is essentially the Bible of Dragon Ball Z, he wouldn't be able to. But that's just my opinion. Alright, so let's see here. Do I have a favorite android? Just testing my highlighting thing there. Do I have a favorite android? I mean, if I had to guess one, it'd probably be Android 17. I kind of like that juvenile, delinquent type of attitude he has. And I thought Super 17 was a pretty good idea for a villain, even though GT could have executed it better. I definitely think he was cool. But I mean, if you want to go by androids, I mean, if we want to be technical, Cell would be my favorite. So there we have it. Is Kid Trunks stronger than Future Trunks, or are they even? I think I've answered this before, Danny Yo, but I definitely think it's not even close. I mean, Kid Trunks went Super Saiyan at the age of 8. Now, I will tell you this much. Future Trunks went Super Saiyan earlier than many of you guys would have expected. I've explained this in my major differences between the anime and manga part 1. And in it, we see in the manga that Trunks was already a Super Saiyan before Future Gohan's death. They were training and Trunks was already a Super Saiyan fighting with Gohan. After Future Gohan died, he didn't turn Super Saiyan for the first time, whereas the history of Trunks changed it and tweaked it around so that Trunks did go Super Saiyan. And in Ghost from Tomorrow, it was a little inconsistent, we don't know, but I mean, he was in his base form. So they were both basically able to go Super Saiyan if you're considering the manga. But the reason I say Kid Trunks is stronger was because Kid Trunks trained with a significantly stronger training partner in Vegeta versus Future Gohan, who was much weaker than the present time Vegeta at the time. So I'm gonna have to go with Kid Trunks. Alright, Deborah versus Perfect Cell. Oh, and I also wanted to mention something else about the previous question. Sorry to cut this question off, but I just thought of something about the Future Trunks and Kid Trunks. You gotta be specific about which Future Trunks you're talking about. Are you talking about the teenage Future Trunks that trained with Future Gohan and turned Super Saiyan like after Gohan's death, or are you talking about the Future Trunks that fought the androids after Future Gohan's death 3 years later and then eventually came to the past to fight Frieza? If you're comparing that Kid Trunks with that Future Trunks, I'm gonna say that Future Trunks would be stronger. But if you're comparing the 13-year-old the 13-year-old Future Trunks who died, who saw Future Gohan, well, he didn't see him die, but who went Super Saiyan in the history of Trunks, or was already a Super Saiyan after Future Gohan's death, I'm sorry, before Future Gohan's death, then I'm definitely gonna have to say Kid Trunks, because those 3 years make a big difference. Alright, after losing to you as Qaaman, the new Super Saiyan Qaaman, I fled into exile. Then you found me and you asked, "What is love, young child? Scared from life and worried you were going to rape me. I said, baby, don't hurt me," laughing out loud with me, and we started to dance and sing. I think he's making a reference to a question I answered on here a long time, because somebody posted a video saying, "What is love?" And I said, baby, don't hurt me. But that's essentially it. I mean, there's really nothing else. Did I accidentally cut off her question? I hope I didn't, but I gotta move on because kind of on a time thing here. Alright, let's see. Who would win in a fight? Lelouch the 6 Britannia versus Sonic. I don't know who Lelouch the 6 Britannia is, so I don't know, but if you guys want to see a parody, which is pretty funny, Sonic is stronger than Goku, I'll post it in the description. Somebody made a parody of my video, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Alright, what's your most disliked character in Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT? I mean, if you're combining all 3 series, which is what I think you're doing, I'm gonna have to say Fat Boo. I never liked Fat Boo as a character. I thought he destroyed the Dragon Ball Z series. I thought he reduced the seriousness that existed with character deaths. I think turning people into chocolate and candy was a terrible, immature version of what a villain could do. And a lot of people are gonna disagree with me, and a lot of people are gonna post that they don't agree. But honestly, now that I'm older, I definitely think that the Majin Buu saga was definitely the weakest out of all of the sagas in Dragon Ball Z and in the entire series, to be completely honest, because of how they dumbed it down. But I mean, honestly, when I look at GT, I mean, if we're gonna be fair here, I mean, the GT villains were garbage, but I mean, they were so minor that I'm not gonna even put them in this conversation. So if you want to talk about a character that I dislike the most because of the impact they had on Dragon Ball and all of Dragon Ball, I'm gonna have to say Fat Boo. Was Gohan a Super Saiyan or a Super Saiyan 2 against Deborah? I kind of talked about this earlier. It's not easy to tell, and whenever I go to look for an answer, I got good points from both sides, so I'm really confused. I was hoping you could answer with a good enough proof. Alright, well, if I'm just answering your question on the spot on this website, I'm gonna have to go with the fact that I think he was a Super Saiyan 2, and here's why. You gotta factor in that Goku said himself that Deborah was about the same strength as Cell. We don't know if he was referring to Super Perfect Cell or Cell, considering the fact that Goku was from outer space, but he can still sense Cell's energy. He just said Cell, so we gotta assume he must have meant Super Perfect Cell, right? We're assuming. This is a big assumption. We don't know for a fact. Considering the fact that he said he was around the same strength as Cell, and Gohan fought Cell as a Super Saiyan and really didn't stand a chance, the only way he would be able to stand a chance, which he held his own, would be if he were to go into a Super Saiyan 2 form. And considering the fact that he was much weaker as an adult than he was as a kid, that would explain why Deborah had the edge on him in the fight, and that is why I ultimately think that Gohan was most likely a Super Saiyan 2. And guys, please don't give me that bullshit about, you know, oh well, his hair wasn't extra spiky or there was no fucking electricity, because that's such a stupid excuse. You know why? Because there have been many points of Dragon Ball Z with Super Saiyan 2s and 3s where the electricity was not shown. It's just editing, guys. You can't say that somebody's not a Super Saiyan 2 just for editing. There's points of the Cell. There's points of the fight between Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Cell where Gohan didn't even have an aura around him at all. It's honestly up for interpretation. Electricity in here has nothing to do with it. That's some of the worst arguing I've ever heard, and I'm not trying to knock you guys down, but it just really irritates me whenever I see in the comments, oh well, he didn't have the electricity. It's just such a dumb argument. Sorry. Alright, let's see. Can Cell kill Super Saiyan 3 Goku? I'm already going to say no before I even answer this, but if Cell is stronger than Chi-Chi and Paul... This is obviously a fun question. Yes, Cell can kill Super Saiyan 3 Goku if he's stronger than Chi-Chi and Bulma. He definitely could. In Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, would Earth ever be in danger if Goku was never there? Because Red Ribbon Army, Emperor Pilaf, King Piccolo, the Saiyans, Frieza, Cell, and Buu all seem to do somehow with Goku. Let's see. If in Dragon Ball would Earth ever be in danger? Well, I mean, if you consider the fact that the Red Ribbon Army was basically strong enough to conquer the planet, I mean, you might argue that, you know, the world powers would fight it, but I mean, considering how advanced their robots were, I definitely think they would be fucked if it wasn't for Goku. But at the same time, who knows? Maybe Krillin one day would have been strong enough for if he trained with Master Roshi in the same way. And although Krillin's much weaker than Goku, I think at some point Krillin would be able to stop the Red Ribbon Army. But I definitely think that Krillin wouldn't be able to defeat King Piccolo. So yeah, definitely, I think the entire world would be fucked if Goku, you know, was never there. Hey, I've been watching your videos, I like them. Anyways, I was wondering if you can make a video about what are the top 10 most powerful energy attacks in Dragon Ball or something like that. I mean, honestly? You want me to be completely honest with you? Excluding Spirit Bombs? All of the attacks are going to be in GT now. Some of you guys are going to say in the comments that GT is not canon and it doesn't exist. But if you're talking about in all of Dragon Ball Z, it's gonna have to be every single attack in the Buu Saga, right? I mean, you gotta consider that the Spirit Bomb that Goku used on Frieza didn't kill him, so that Spirit Bomb was obviously weaker, or maybe Frieza slipped off it. But considering the fact that the Spirit Bomb could kill Buu, even though Buu was pushing it back too to some degree, but I mean, you gotta think that it would have to be when all the characters were in their extended forms of a Super Saiyan. So if I were to really think about it, which I don't think it's that much in depth for a topic, it would definitely have to be every single attack in the Buu Saga forward. Who's stronger, Bills or legendary Super Saiyan God Goku? Zenith Jones, I already answered this. It was probably one of the first questions in this video. Can Mystic Gohan turn Super Saiyan? Long story short, I made a video on this. It's currently on private because the video was bad. I said some incorrect facts. I've honestly given up on this question. I think it's just inconsistent. Battle of Gods makes it even more inconsistent, along with how GT is. I think the fact that he's trying to prove is that Gohan doesn't need to turn Super Saiyan. I think he was just Super Saiyan in Battle of Gods just for the whole Goku thing. But I think he could go Super Saiyan, I just don't think he needs it. You gave us a sex ed lesson in the last Q&A. Why? Well, this is 2 months ago, so this was definitely before. I mean, considering this, you know, I answered this question 2 months ago. It was probably in the previous one where somebody asked what is sex, and I basically told them, because I know that there are some kids on here, and I don't hide anything from you. I guess I did. I hope I taught you something new. The guy from Death Note vs. Goku, if you're smart, you would understand it. Don't know enough about Death Note to really answer this, sorry. What are the origins of your username branding, Qaaman's Land? Long story short, the QAA part of Qaaman stands for my full name. The man part is supposed to add a superhero effect to my name. I wanted to put an apostrophe S, but YouTube won't let me for some stupid reason where I can't edit it, so I have to just leave the S without an apostrophe. But it's supposed to be Qaaman apostrophe S Land. So that's how you get the Qaamans, and then the land part was just to have like a YouTube-esque name. That way it's kind of like you guys are going to my land when you watch my videos. Alright. In Dragon Ball, what if when Goku needed to climb Korin's tower because he was too weak for General Tao? What if General Tao came back for the Dragon Ball that Goku had and tried to kill Goku? Would Goku have made it to the top by then? Would Korin have helped? What about Kami and Mr. Popo? Considering the fact that when Goku got there, Mr. Popo was clearly stronger than him, I'm gonna have to say I honestly think Mr. Popo would have stood a really good chance against General Tao, if not defeat him. I definitely think that if Tao tried to get Goku on that tower, I definitely think, you know, Mr. Popo would make a big impact. I mean, Mr. Popo is way stronger than the average human, and you gotta factor in that, you know, Mercenary Tao wasn't really that much of a villain, you know, if you consider, you know, all the different things that he doesn't have in terms of skill. So definitely I think you know, Popo would have beaten him, especially because Goku would jump in too. Alright, let's see. Would you lick a girl? Just kidding. I just wanted to say my opinion on the face cam question. I think it's completely unnecessary and it might even take away from your videos. I'm not saying it has anything to do with your looks, but it would distract from your arguments and background footage used. Okay, I mean, honestly guys, about the whole face cam thing, if you're still tuned into this questionnaire, honestly guys, it's not anything that big. It's just that when I first, you know, started doing YouTube videos, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my privacy is a part of it. I don't want people looking at my face, but part of the reason is when I started making these videos, I never showed myself on camera because I didn't have a webcam because my old laptop was really shitty. And I've kind of gotten used to not making videos with my face, so it's like I'm just following tradition. So that's basically just why I'm not on camera. I just kind of don't want to. Alright, let's see. Do you think Goten and Trunks can go Super Saiyan 3 and GT? I remember Goten once said they both did it, and I believe we saw Super Saiyan 2 Gohan when he fought young Gohan and Baby. It's implied that Goten was weaker in GT than he was in Z. So my question to you is this. The answer to your question is based on Dragon Ball Z. If Goten could go Super Saiyan 2 in Dragon Ball Z, he can do it in GT. If he can't, it wouldn't make sense considering he was weaker, and that's just my ultimate opinion. But they could definitely still do it if they fuse. Cause GT, it's implied from GT that Goten and Trunks are stronger than what they were as kids, but they weren't stronger than what they were during that martial arts tournament, considering Goten was training with Goku. So I don't know. If I was a Saiyan, what would I be saying? What you just said. Hey Qaaman, I was wondering if you play Minecraft since you're a PC gamer. I love your videos. Please don't stop making them. Oh, and which Super Saiyan form is your favorite? Super Saiyan 2 is my favorite. Because, I mean, Teen Gohan was arguably my favorite character. I still consider him my favorite character in some aspects. But because I only like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and I'm not a big fan of the other forms, I usually say Piccolo's my favorite character because he's safe. But you know, because he's one of my favorite characters, I'm gonna have to say Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. I think he revolutionized the series and he explained how the true extension of what a Super Saiyan can do. As far as Minecraft goes, I mean, honestly, I'm considering playing Minecraft with Thundershot because he has this new thing called Dragon Block Z. The only thing is time. It's very time consuming for me to put together videos, and if I can't do it on a consistent basis, it's kind of hard for me to you know, keep feeding you guys videos. That's hard for me to find time to do things, considering Thundershot and I have a very different schedule, but I'll consider it. Alright, about his triumphs. This may explain a little why Trunks doesn't seem to have improved that much in strength from a child. A little before and during when Oob was introduced, he comes across very similar to Future Trunks. This is just implied. I think this is related to the previous question regarding Trunks and Future Trunks, but I don't necessarily know where you're going with this, so I apologize. Alright, I already know which question I'm going to answer it on. I'm going to finish this video off with Marvel or DC. You know what? I'm going to be nice. I'm going to do 5 more questions. Harudegarn versus Kid Buu. Alright. If waste of energy reduces fusion time, how long could Gogeta last in bed? It depends if he's... I don't know. I mean, depends on which Super Saiyan form he's in. But I mean, in bed? Who knows how long he could last? And which woman would he be sleeping with? Would he be sleeping with Chi-Chi? Would he be sleeping with Bulma? Or would he be sleeping with Cholma? Yes, I combined Chi-Chi and Bulma. Cholma. Alright, let's see. No external and physical influence, but eventually managed to figure it out. Hard work and dedication induced by the memory of his loved ones. In the Future Trunks' timeline, Gohan has no one to mentor him post-Android attack. In fact, he's the mentor of Future Trunks who had achieved. I don't know what you're referring this to. I think you're connecting your questions, but on here randomly, something that was asked 2 months ago, it's kind of hard to piece this together, so sorry. But he definitely was a mentor to Trunks. Why are you so cool? Well, thank you for calling me cool. Most people who would look at what I do on YouTube, they would consider me the ultimate geek. Because you have to be an extreme nerd to do what I do. I mean, let's just be honest, guys. I make videos about Dragon Ball Z. You can't, and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. You can't get nerdier than that. And video games. Like, my channel is the perfect example of a nerdy channel. So, thank you for calling me cool, and I'm glad that I have almost 50,000 people who, you know, enjoy my craft. Marvel versus DC. I wanted to answer this question. I'm a casual comic book fan. I have friends like Duct Tape who know way more than I do, but I like Marvel because I feel like Marvel has more realistic heroes and villains. I mean, you might say DC's Uber, and you might think I'm contradicting myself because I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, but the thing is Dragon Ball Z is all about having Uber characters to begin with, whereas, you know, comic books, it kind of gives you more relation to the, you know, the heroes when you see these guys who are not, you know, astronomically stronger than the average human, and yet they can hold their own with, you know, other villains and stuff. That's pretty cool. I mean, the Hulk is probably, you could consider him, the Hulk and Thor, Uber heroes, but I mean, Hulk is basically a human, a hero and a villain at the same time, so that's ultimately my thoughts on that. I think Marvel's more relatable, and that's why I choose Marvel. And here's my final question of the day. Hirudegarn versus Kid Buu. If you say Hirudegarn, then how about Hirudegarn versus Buuhan? I say Hirudegarn, considering the fact that this takes place after Goku, you know, killed Kid Buu with the Spirit Bomb, and at that point you would probably say that because of a Zenkai boost, and, you know, Super Saiyan 3, and Mystic Gohan also knowing Super Saiyan 3, you might say that he's stronger than he would be stronger than Hirudegarn because he beat I mean, he'd be stronger than Kid Buu because he's stronger than Hirudegarn. But here's my thing, guys. I don't think Hirudegarn is evaluated in terms of power. I think Goku beat him not because he was necessarily stronger than Hirudegarn, but because he found his weakness about how pissing him off, you know, weakens him. And that's how I think Goku beat him. I don't think it was just your basic brawl, height, fat, you know, fist to fist, leg to leg type of fight. And that's why I say that, because I still think at the point of Wrath of the Dragon, Gohan was definitely stronger than Goku at that point. I mean, it would take years for Goku to get to where Mystic Gohan was, considering how strong Mystic Gohan was. And, you know, you could argue Gotenks may have been stronger too, and look how they got wiped out. So I still think Goku beat Hirudegarn because of that. And because I said Hirudegarn, I'm sorry, because of that, it's ambiguous to answer who's stronger, but just to be nice, I would compare Buuhan and Hirudegarn once again as comparing Kid Buu and Hirudegarn, and I'd say the same exact thing. It's ambiguous, but because of the fact that Buuhan was so much stronger than Mystic Gohan, I would have to say Buuhan would be stronger. And that basically concludes it, guys. I've answered a lot of questions for today. As you guys can see, I have still over 7,000 left. I'll try to make sure I always go back, even though it takes a long time to scroll through all these questions that I skipped. It takes a long time. I still have months of questions left to answer, and I know some of you are unhappy with me not answering your questions, but guys, you just factor in how many numbers I actually have. But I know many of you are very happy, and you know what? I just bumped into this question that's kind of funny now that I'm talking about it, which is, why are you getting so many questions? Well, it's basically simple. My channel gains a couple hundred subscribers every single day. On average, I gain about 150 to 200, and I lose about 20 to 30. So I have a plus or minus of about 110 to 120 subscribers per day on average. So you consider the fact that every day I'm getting new subscribers. Those subscribers are sharing my channels. More people are liking my videos. Some people are unsubscribing, but I'm getting way more who like than dislike. And because of that, my channel is growing, which means that there's going to be more people who are tempted to ask me questions, which basically increases the questions I have overall. And that's essentially why I'm getting so many questions, because my channel is growing, which is a great thing. It's just hard to keep up, but I love it, and I thank you guys for watching, this video for today. This person says, seriously, why do I never answer? But obviously they haven't seen my questionnaires. And I hope you please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys, and thank you for tuning in to my questionnaire.